Hi there, it's Quilting Nerd, and today we will be talking about filling a space under arch. In this case, that was relatively large space, and the arch was very extended. So you can see that every time I had some larger plumes, I was filling the space under with smaller ones. Not your typical feather, but it's filling the space very nicely and gives us this nice regular texture. Then the second type, we have the feather with a swirl, where we have kind of like 3/4 circle under. So I will explain you how to fill this with two different approaches. And at the end, I will show you my attempt on how to fill the inner part of a circle. Let's start quilting. Demonstration number 1 is arch, because we are increasing the level of difficulty starting from the easiest one. So our arch can be part of a sinus wave, and it can have different radius. So it can be, this one is relatively gentle, and this is a perfect filler for a border. So now I will kind of mark it on both sides where I want my border to be. The next marking that you may need for quilting better feathers is mark you one that it's running in the middle, perpendicular to your border. It's just a marking that we will erase later, but it really helps. So I will use classical feather approach, so I will just quilt those tear-shaped plumes on the side. And as long as I'm far away from my marking, I just quilt them without worries. Now I'm approaching my marking. I can of course cross over shortly, that's not a problem. You can see that already I may have a problem to fill it. So now one way is just to, you quilt it to this marking, and you keep your plumes relatively short. Once you go over this mark, you let it swing a little bit more, and you reach out on the other side. And then we are getting out of this concave, and like that our feather is filled, and we are repeating the same on the other side. The other way of doing that is, let me adjust the camera. So we have again our arch, and you may alternate simply between those two methods. So we are just using it as a reference point. And then if you have this impression that these plumes are too long for you, what you can do, you can just start already now here, quilting them a little bit shorter and using them to fill this space under. So actually it would have been better to go already longer here. Good, it's a drawing, not a quilting. Usually when I quilt that, I am not thinking about it. So it would be just, you know, reaching already a bit above the top. And filling the space here. And like that you are also filling this space. So let's try one or the other on the fabric, and let's see how my quilting compares to my drawings. So everything is prepared. Now my arch is relatively long, so and then we can see the advantages of the filling the space in between. So let us start. As you see, I'm trying to keep the plums equal on this side, which would causes that the size, their length is extended every time I'm quilting on my arch. And at some point, I have to go very deep in. So let me maybe rotate the sandwich so you can see it better what I mean. You see, this is becoming very, very long, so I have to travel more and more to fill it. So what we can do in this such case, we can just add one small feather plume to fill it, and then keep going. And then we are compensating for the curve that way. And as you can see, my quilting is way better than my drawing, because when I quilt, I don't think about it at all. So let's see how it looks like. And as you can see, the bottom line is relatively equal here. And I use the small parts here, the small parts of the feather, to fill the odd spaces here in between. And this way I have a very nice and organic shape, and I could deal with this extended part of the shape of the arch. So that would be one part. Of course, the half part filling, we will practice in a moment on the other motif. And the other motif is a swirly feather. So let me again show you with a drawing how to deal with such, filling such space. You all seen these very nice shapes where you have this nice extended swirl, and you are supposed to, again my drawing is hot today, off. You are supposed to fill this space under. So let's focus on this part. In this case, it's really helpful to divide it in half. And the part outside is easy. Let's quilt this part. So again, we are starting with quilting our paisleys, And why do we divide it? Because we will have feathers coming from this side, and we have to leave enough space for them. So first we have to deal with this kind of arch part. You see, I'm trying not to overextend till I get to the last one. And then when I'm going from the other side, I can extend all the way around. Now, this is also a critical part because we have this very long and narrow space here. And if we will, of course, we can keep quilting, and sometimes I do that too, just very long plumes. However, it is better if you fill it with shorter ones. In this way, the length of the paisley shapes is matching better. And we are just merging in the last one, and we have a very nice feather. That's one way of dealing with filling this shape around. And then, of course, we can go back. We have very gentle arch here, so it's absolutely not a problem. And we can fill it as well. With the feathers, with the plumes, of the shapes, and suddenly it looks complete. There's some different ways also of doing that. So as you can see, my drawing is really not good. And like that, the feather is done and it looks very nice, and I will demonstrate in a moment how I do that during quilting. I'm just trying to show you some basic ideas, basic principle behind that. There are different variations on how to do that, but they are kind of coming with time and with experience. So probably we will make one or two more videos just on different strategies of filling such a small curve. Now let's quilt the same shape. So I already started and I forgot to switch on the camera, but I didn't get to the critical part yet, so that's fine. And now we are quilting our feather. The curve is coming here, so maybe let's rotate the sandwich and let's quilt. And exactly as I did it during drawing, I'm approaching my inner part of the curve. That means if I will extend my plumes too large here, I will have very little space to quilt the other ones. That can be also other way to how to deal with this space. So we can just extend one here, and after that fill everything with small ones. Maybe let's do that as a next demonstration. So, but here I will just separate the space with the marking, and I will know more or less how far I can extend my plumes, not to disturb them, and keep them more or less the same size. see, this time I went for the narrow and long shape, and I just have a little bit of space here. So either I can come back here and quilt tiny ones, or I can try let's quilt it on the other side so it looks complete. You've seen, you noticed here I had a small arch, and I used the smaller plums filler principle, so I didn't have to extend all the way. So, and like that, we have a very nice dense feather. That's the advantage of bounce back feather. It fills the space simply great. There we had the other one that was not well organized maybe, but in a border that would give you a great effect as well. Now let's try the different way of filling the curve under. I will just quilt the swirl to keep it shorter. So I will just now I overextended. If you look here, you see, I went with this paisley, this shape, very long, and that means I just have a very little space for the others. If I will quilt another one, that will be odd. So in such a case, so I will rotate it. In such a case, I will simply go with shorter shapes. And come back here. So, and in this way we have also a very nice strategy how to turn this feather around and keep the spacing. And actually here we are adding extra texture to the shape. And the third case, which is the most extreme one, is the circle. And I admit I have some problems with quilting feathers inside the circle on my own. So I try to squeeze and exercise whenever I can. And again, let's start with a drawing. We have our circle. It is relatively a small one. And I admit I am sometimes struggling. Sometimes it works very well, and sometimes I do struggle. So what I like to do is I like to divide my circle into 3 parts. And then fill the space accordingly. Extend when I can. And then go a little bit shorter. The trick is that when we are approaching this part, we have to, so that's usually the problem, I have to start it a little bit differently. So let's see how we will manage that part to merging those two. But with this technique, I always got the best result for me. And this is also something what I have to practice. So let's see how it will be, how this will look like when I'm done. I marked my circle. It is slightly larger than my drawing. And very often I'm not very happy how the quilting goes when I quilt. And then when I look at the finished product, actually it's not half that bad. So let me adjust the camera. My problem is I never start steep enough the first plume, and that's may cause some problems when I will connect the beginning with the end. But let's see. difficult part is to merge this seamlessly, and there are so many quilters that just they know from the beginning how it has to look like. I'm not one of these, at least not yet. But it's good enough. The point is that when you look at the finished circle, and if you add even more quilting outside, all the small inaccuracies will be not that visible. So I have to repeat once more that the smaller the circle, actually, the easier it is to fill it with the feather. And I have my favorite size. That was kind of the limit of this, what I feel comfortable with my sitting machine. I like actually I like to limit the circle and fill circle inside with something else and just keep the feathers within. But when we are talking about filling the area of curvature under of an arch or swirl or a circle, then I have to also try with you how to do that, and how to figure out what are the areas for improvement. So I know I have to really start on focusing on starting it way steeper with a greater angle, and that probably will improve my circle. So I will for sure show you that once more, once I will improve it. Quilted and finished is better than in progress. And I hope those exercises, at least let's focus on this one. This one is perfect. I hope those exercises will help you with your own quilting, and let me know what you think. Hopefully talk to you soon. It can be that the next week video will be with a 1 or 2 days delay because I'm traveling. So I wish you a wonderful weekend and happy quilting. Bye.